I want you to hear me out on this one. I want you to genuinely sit here and think about what I'm gonna say towards this movie, because I am not gonna necessarily shit on its writing or how that is done. I'm just gonna give you what I would have wanted, what most of us as a fan base would have wanted. And you can disagree with this, but I feel like this would have been the best version, right? Because what we ended up getting was a story about a man needing money for his kid, going to the pizzeria, a job to earn money, and then learning about the secrets of the first game within 2 seconds, and then movie ends. Yeah, so let's just forget about the secrets behind the murders or the victims, the kids. You know, let's just forget about all of that. Let's just tell you that in 10 minutes into the movie. All the mysterious parts of the franchise just told to the viewer in 10 seconds. Yeah. Doesn't that sound really good? I'm sorry, if you sat in the cinema and were like, "Big cinema, big cinema." No. I know you felt a little annoyed at when Vanessa said, "There's souls in the animatronics." Yeah, that's worth the 8-year wait. Yeah, and let's show the murders in 8-bit form without any sort of feeling to it. Let's make the biggest part of the entire fucking franchise into an 8-bit thing and not make it emotional at all or give any sort of care to it in the slightest. You're probably gonna say, you had way too big expectations. No, I didn't. Yes, I waited 8 years. Yes, I had loads of ideas, but my favorite idea was, and hear me out on this one, first hour, you show the kids getting killed, you show the build up to that, you make that entire thing to the emotional part of the movie. Then you introduce Michael in the last hour of the movie, finding out it's happened, or to just show him surviving the nights, while also having trauma or something like that, which the movie already showed. It's just like, you didn't have to go the route that you did. You didn't have to do it like what they did. You didn't have to make it so, it isn't FNAF to me. I wanted a simple story. What really made me like this idea was seeing the FNAF VHS tapes, and before you go, "Oh, it's a FNAF VHS tape stan, oh, you want to see it in FNAF VHS tape," like, no, I'm not gonna sit here and glaze the living shit out of the FNAF VHS tapes. No, there's just certain aspects that they do right that the FNAF movie just didn't do in the slightest, okay? And the first one is making you feel for the victims, the kids, right? There's a certain line from, I think, Paddington series. Where Chica says something about feeling like she can't breathe, and she's in the snow or something like that. It's gonna be up on the screen right now. And that line made me think about, that's really, like, that is really sad. Love to see something like that for the victims, so you could feel, understand the horror of just the body horror in general about this, and just how sad it is for the parents too, and just like make that the emotional part of the movie, because it's literally the entire reason the franchise exists, and they just told you in the first 10 minutes of the movie, like, oh, hey, they're just souls and robots, yeah, and they got killed. Yeah, and also the guy that killed was my dad. Wow. 8 years. Well, 8 years for that. If you don't want to show kids getting murdered, which is totally fine, you can just show the fucking door, parts and servers, or where the hell they were killed, and just put the sounds in there. Or you can use shadows. Like, you don't have to directly show it. Obviously you don't have to do that, but just so you can feel the horror of it. Show the kids hiding from him. Like, it's how you do the horror in it. I'm sorry if that's difficult. I don't understand why they just decided to not do that as the main part, because it's not really the most important part of the entire franchise. It's the reason everything happened. It's the reason you got the second game, the third game. Like, it's just like, what are we doing here? They also butchered the atmosphere. The movie is just really dark. If you look at any of the cameras in FNAF 1, they are dark and gray. It's a dark and gritty atmosphere. Is it gritty and dark? No, it's just dark. I feel like you could replicate the atmosphere of FNAF 1 in some shape into a movie. Like, I feel like you could do that. Imagine how cool it would be if you got a shot of Freddy Fazbear in the dark with his white eyes, and not the goofy red ones. I mean, that's literally all I wanted, to be honest. Just some cool shots of the gang. But I didn't even get that. They butchered the main horror aspect of the entire franchise in this movie. And I'm sorry, but there wasn't even horror in this movie. It was just a boring snooze fest of a movie because nothing happened. Only thing that really happened was William Afton appearing and then getting spin locks, which doesn't even make sense because this movie isn't following the games. And that is just stupid because you have this perfect story to make a movie out of. You literally do. The first movie could be an hour and 40 minutes of just the build-up to the kids getting killed, and the second movie could be about William Afton, you know, destroying the animatronics, whatever else. Like, it didn't have to be the way it did. I feel like they just butchered the characters too, right? Because you know the fort building scene, and this is a hot topic, right? People like it because it shows how they're kids. But I'm gonna bring up the FNAF VHS tapes again. If you want to show their kids, do something like what they did with them showing the souls talking to each other and acting like kids in that sort of way. I feel like that's a way more emotional way to do it than just, I want to build a fort, or acting like kids. Yes, I understand the message behind it, but it just doesn't fit. Again, the body horror is missing here. The horror is missing. It's so important to me that you show how awful it really is, like how awful the story really is, because this movie didn't do it justice whatsoever. They just, like, didn't do any of it justice whatsoever. This movie wasn't made for the fans, it was made for the newborn babies that just discovered FNAF. If you were a long-time fan, I'm gonna swear to God, you came out at cinema a little disappointed. You glazed it because you finally saw your dream movie come out in cinemas, and you glazed it, but then you think about it a little bit more, and you realize, no horror. But oh, we got Springtrap though. You know, you can throw the argument out that it's a different timeline, it's a different version, and I get that. But again, even if you were gonna make a different version, there's so many ways you could have done that. There's so many fan animations and stories out there that do the story differently, that still manage to show what the franchise is all about, and that is the body horror, the main story, it's just, there's so many ways you could have done that than what they did. The potential that this movie could have had is massive. It could have been a really, really good horror movie and a really good movie in general, but they didn't do that. I feel like what FNAF has always interested me because it's such a good way of showing that. I mean, they didn't really show, but I like the atmosphere, I like the mystery behind it, I think that's what makes it so cool. And they just didn't do any of that. They didn't do any of the things that they should have done. It's not just like what I would have wanted, it's what I feel like a lot of people would have wanted, because it just made sense to do what I said. Something along those lines, right? Not exactly, because that's just me saying what I want, but I think the movie's okay, but it just doesn't deliver on what I think should have been there, right? And the second movie doesn't even look that interesting, because they're not following the games. They're just doing their own thing, and it doesn't look scary, it just looks stupid. And I gotta say this, I feel like making Vanessa the daughter of William Afton was also stupid, because then that just ruins Afton's character, and not making Afton lose his two kids as part of the story. Because I feel like him losing his son to the Bite of 83, it could have been such a strong emotional key part that would have made somewhat of a sense to why he started killing. It's just like, there's so many ways you could have done that. I hate how they just butchered the character too. Like, why is Vanessa his daughter? Like, it's just, they got so much stuff wrong, and it's not, I am disappointed, which you can tell. You can take my opinion whatever way you want, but I think we can all just accept the fact that the movie isn't what it's supposed to be. And I hope the FNAF movie has gotten good reviews, but I just don't think it's gonna do it for me. If it does, I'm gonna glaze the movie because I want it to be good, but I feel like I'm just gonna come out disappointed because it isn't really what you wanted. And, you know, the movie isn't made for me specifically, of course. It's not like aimed to me directly, it's aimed to the fans. But even as a fan, you're kind of looking at it going, what type of fan was this made for? Was this made for the security breach fans, or what? Because it just doesn't seem like something OG fans like me would like. Listen, you can hate me all you want, but I've said my piece. The comments, you're free to write however long paragraphs you want. Let me know down in the comments what you think, and yeah.